Welcome back, folks. It's time for another episode of Treknicity, the show where we talk about things regarding Star Trek. I'm your host, Lars Di Scenza, coming to you from somewhere beyond the cosmos, or probably Southern California. Let's face it, they're probably both one and the same. With me again is fellow Redshirt Geek and my hetero life mate Patrick, here to join me for another review of a Star Trek movie. And this one is one we're really excited about.
Because it doesn't suck!
It doesn't suck really bad. It's like there. I don't think there's anything about this movie I don't like, except maybe the fact that it had an end.
Well, let's put it this way: there are three great Star Trek movies of the original series. There is Wrath of Khan. There is Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, and the third movie of the great Star Trek movies, Star Trek: First Contact.
Yes.
Abrams is nowhere near any of these three. Although Star Trek Beyond is the closest to being a really good movie.
Agreed, yeah. No, Star Trek First Contact, of course, it is the best of the TNG crew movies. It is by far probably the best movie, in my opinion, of the Star Trek franchise.
Interesting side note. In the last movie, weren't we bagging on how crappy parts of it were? Weren't we bagging on the last movie significantly?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and remember, Rick Berman, Brandon Braga, and Ronald Moore wrote that movie. They also wrote this movie. Mm-hmm. I think the real difference, there's two differences though. Jerry Goldsmith showed up and did the music, so the music is just rousing and awesome. And Jonathan Frakes directed it, so yeah. Naturally Riker gets all the best lines because it's also, fucking Frakes.
Remember, actually, Jonathan Frakes has a reputation of being so good at doing his job that he earned the nickname Two Takes Frakes. You know, and that's unheard of in a feature.
So yeah, I think it's just because he enjoys getting the best lines. Because, well, yeah. I mean, I think he's a better director than Nimoy was.
I agree.
Of course, Nimoy had to deal with Shatner, and compared to Frakes, who gets to deal with Sir Pat. Yeah. I mean,
Sir
Patrick
Pat
Stewart's
is an amazing actor.
Awesome.
Yes. I mean, again, there wasn't a single crew member, cast member of this movie I did not like. I mean, when we get to Star Trek Insurrection. I'm going to beat on the movie quite a bit, but it's not their fault.
It's not Nemesis after all.
No, that comes after.
Yeah.
I watched that.
And then Abrams Trek, and then Star Trek Beyond.
And
no other movie.
Because there's no other movie with Khan in it.
Although they'll probably do some review of something in between those Abrams Trek and Star Trek Beyond. For some reason, I don't know why, but we'll get there.
Anyways,
so
let's go ahead and start this one off. This is basically, I'll let you run through your notes, and I'll just add commentary as we go along.
Let's put it this way. Holy shit, it starts out with Picard standing on a Borg ship surrounded by drones, and it zooms out, and then it gets really weird, and then he gets probulated, and starts becoming Locutus again, and then wakes up. And then he goes and splashes some water. It's like, damn, that sucked. And then he wakes up because it's a jump scare. So they had a dream in a dream.
Yep.
And when he wakes up from both the dreams, he kind of starts hearing Borg stuff in his head.
Right, because as being a part of the Borg, he still hears the collective in his head when they're close enough.
So, of course, a priority transmission comes in, and apparently the Borg have an incursion on Federation space again.
And
so, of course, the Enterprise being the only ship in the sector, no! There are other ships! There are several other ships!
Of course, they get their asses handed to them.
There's other ships. Enterprise apparently gets orders. They get to go and patrol the neutral zone.
In case the Romulans want to take advantage of the situation.
Didn't the Romulans come... No, they actually... Never mind. That's the Dominion. Sorry. Getting my timelines crossed because this is awesome. But the cool thing is this is when we get the reveal. This is the USS Enterprise 1701E. And she's a badass looking ship.
Yep, Sovereign class ship. It is a fantastic piece of work.
Lovely ship.
So they end up doing their sweep of the neutral zone. Yeah. We're bored. This is stupid.
Yeah, they're literally just standing there. Oh, here's our anomalies. Oh, wow, this anomaly, this is really worth our time. Stupid sons of mother. Yeah. Okay, so they get the word that the rest of Starfleet is engaging the Borg, so they go out to listen to the audio. We hear USS Defiant, and then we hear Worf's voice. Yep. I did pick that up this time. This is the first time I just happened to notice that. So, holy crap, there's a battle, and of course they're getting their ass kicked because it's the Borg.
Yeah.
So Picard says, screw this, we're going. Boom! They said, okay, we're quitting. We're just gonna not follow orders and go to fight him. So of course they jump in and race to Earth. The Borg, meanwhile, are coming in, getting shot up, and of course it's the USS Defiant with Worf as captain, flying around, and the Klingon theme comes in and is like, our weapons are down, our shields are down, we can't do shit.
Well,
today is good day to die. Ha 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 ha! Revving speed.
That's great.
And we get Deus Ex Enterprise as the Enterprise shoots across and beams the Defiant crew off, and the ship drifts off because it's got to go back to DS9 because that series isn't over yet.
Right.
Okay, but now they've beamed Worf onto the Enterprise, so now they got the entire crew back together, except for Wesley, who will never be seen in a good movie again.
He does make a cameo appearance in the beginning of Nemesis, but that's in a deleted scene.
Like I said, never in a good movie again. So the Admiral's dead, so yay! Looks like Picard isn't going to get court-martialed. So he takes command and says, "Here, shoot it right there." Well, that looks stupid. There's nothing here. Just shoot it anyway. And they shoot it, and the Borg ship blows up, but it shoots out one of its balls.
The Borg sphere, yeah.
Yeah.
It drops its ball. The other ball drops, I guess. Oh, geez, I could go on forever on this one. Okay, so yeah, so they end up chasing the Borg sphere. The Borg sphere seems to open up something of a temporal portal. The Enterprise follows it, gets caught in its temporal wake. They do catch a glimpse of Earth. Of course, it looks very different.
All Borgy and shit.
Yep. And of course, they find out that the Borg have gone. They surmise that the Borg have gone back into the past and assimilated Earth. So they follow it naturally.
Temporal something. Hey, it's a Star Trek movie. Let's dick with time.
You know what would be funny? You know what would be actually just it would be funny is if they had passed the Klingon bird of prey coming on the way back from getting the whales. It's like what the hell is that?
Spock pops his hand out, and Riker and they fist bump as they fly past each other.
You know, the way I always say it was funny. The way you say it is just hurtful. Oh, jeez. So
they could put that in the special edition when they release that.
Yeah.
You can see what the Uncanny Valley looks like on Nimoy. Frakes, they're just going to have to shave off about 150 pounds.
Yeah, he's kind of big.
Seriously, from the first episode of Star Trek Next Generation to the last episode of Enterprise, he put on like 150, 200 pounds. And if I say the same thing about Marina Sirtis, she's going to fly from wherever she is and kick my ass. So I'm not going to say anything.
She's probably in Burbank or something like
that. Okay, so she'll drive over to Santa Clarita and kick your ass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so we cut to Montana. Hi, I'm in Montana. Where it's a squatter, where it looks like just kind of a squatter's camp, kind of looks like just some ramshackle dump because we're 10 years after World War III. We find this out later. So most of civilization is destroyed. So it's better than Well, at least it's not. At least Trump's not president anymore. Wait, did I say that out loud? Oh, okay.
Maybe World War III happened because he was president.
Oh, I'm going to hell for that one. Or we're going to lose half our viewers, but yeah, well. So, but then again, I don't think Star Trek viewers and Trump fans are the same thing. From what I can tell, maybe I don't know. Right. But we'll get that. But we'll get there. So we cut to a couple people walking. Some girl named Lily and some guy referred to only as Z. And they're talking about some kind of flight of some kind. When, of course, the Borg start raining down blasts on him.
Right.
She yells about going to get to the Phoenix, and he just
says, screw the Phoenix.
Screw that, I'm running out. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Screw you guys, I'm going home. I'm taking my warp ship and going home.
Of course, back up in space, the Enterprise shows up and torpedoes the ass off that Borg sphere, and it gets blown to a gazillion bits. Yay! Roll credits. Dum da da dum da da dum da 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 dum dum. The end. No, that's not the end, of course. Right. Because they have to go down and see what happened. Because the Borg were obviously targeting someplace in Montana, and they figure out that it's the day before first contact. Roll credits. Mm-hmm. Although we get an even more roll credits-y moment coming later. Thank you, Zephram Cochrane.
Yes, I know the line too. It's like you're all some sort of astronaut, some sort of. Never mind. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. So they beam down to figure out what's going on.
They can't find Cochrane. They find the Phoenix.
They find the Phoenix, and Lily is sitting down at the bottom and starts machine gunning. So Data figures out the best way to deal with this is to jump down and jump in front of her and let her shoot him till he's like, "Oh, you shot me." And his answer is, "Greetings."
Well, what if while he was jumping, they played like the Crisscross song, "Jump, Jump." Commander Data, make you jump, jump.
When was this movie made?
It was in 1996.
I can see that. 1996.
Yeah.
20 years old. Oh my.
Yeah.
We're reviewing 20-some-year-old movies, and they're not that old to me.
No, I mean you can still watch them. To me, they're
old. I mean, the original crew feels old. I was like, we're watching old people. I'm not going to continue that because I'm just going to go the wrong way there. So they get down. They find out that the Phoenix, which is the ship that Zephram Cochrane, yay, that's our Z.
Yeah.
Played by James Cromwell. They are 14 hours away from Zephram Cochrane taking his historic flight and getting the attention of the Vulcans and therefore triggering first contact. Yay, yay, happy, happy, joy, joy, Federation, whatever.
It is worth noting that this is a retcon of the original series story because in the original series, when they meet Zephram Cochrane on some alien planet, it is noted that Zephram Cochrane was actually Alpha Centauran, but we'll let this one slide. This is a good story.
Yeah, it's a good story, and it's one of the best. It's probably my favorite of all the movies, period.
Right.
Because there's no Shatner in it.
And there's no Khan. No pseudo-Khan.
There's no movie that has a Khan in it except for Star Trek 2. Thank you very much. Okay. So, meanwhile, they're looking around. They can't find Zephram Cochrane, so they got to do some searching. Meanwhile, up on the ship, something's going. It's getting a little weird. It's getting a little warm, and they're not sure why. So, of course, Engineer Redshirt climbs up into one of the conduits to go look, and something off screen takes him out. Meanwhile, Engineer Redshirt climbs up, and she looks and goes, "Ah!" as something takes her out. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what's taking her out.
What could it be?
Could it be Satan? I'm old.
That is pretty
sorry, George Herbert Walker Bush called back because Dana Carvey did that impression, and yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's go back to the story. Back on Earth, Picard starts hearing Borg in his head, calls up, finds out, hey, something's going screw with the environmental controls. It's getting warm. Okay, Data and I are coming up. So he leaves Riker and the gang to go hunt down Zefram Cochrane. Once they get up there, pretty much, Picard says, okay, this environment, oh, shit, Borg. Okay. And, of course, that's the moment communications, of course, goes down, because it always goes down at the dramatically appropriate moment.
Now, bear in mind, it's just important to note that Lily had been injured when she was exposed to theta radiation. And so they basically beamed her back up to Enterprise to fix her shit. She does wake up in sickbay. She's woken up in sickbay by Dr. Crusher because El Borgo are trying to get into sickbay.
Yeah, they're pounding on the door. So, of course, she does everybody says, let's get in, let's climb in these tubes, activate the EMH. And, of course, we get our emergency medical hologram from Voyager because we got to have a Robert Picardo cameo. So he pops in and does the doctor, and it's fun.
Yeah. Actually,
he suggests analgesic cream to the Borg.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So they're scrambling through the tubes, and Lily takes a left while everybody takes a right because she's getting the hell off this ship. Of course, she has no idea where she is. She doesn't even know that she's on a ship in orbit.
Surprise! Well, surprise later.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Data's locked down the computer. They've locked down the computer, and they're getting ready to fight some Borg. Oh, most important thing is that of course, the MH, because we have to pay homage, says, "I'm a doctor, not a doorstop." Yeah.
Do a dance, sing a song, tell a story, whatever. Just give us some time. It's good.
Yep. Meanwhile, Picard's, of course, giving orders, says, okay, let's lock and load. Anybody sees anybody, you see crew member, looks like they're starting to be assimilated, just shoot them.
Yep. Just screw it. Just kill them. Just
pretend they all have red shirts and start shooting. Nobody's going to give a shit. Really. I mean, it's the Borg, folks. It's an Enterprise crew, and and we can pretend they have red shirts. That's good enough for me. Nobody will ever get in trouble for killing a red shirt. So we cut back to Earth, where Deanna Troi has found Zefram Cochrane, and she's drunk. And Jonathan Frakes is going to get some good lines here, because Riker finds her drunk and just gets to make fun of her the whole time. And Zefram Cochrane is, I'm Zefram Cochrane. Bah! Here, drink the good stuff.
Right.
I mean, seriously, and meanwhile, you can just see, it's Frakes just going, I can't believe I get paid to drink this shit.
Pretty much.
Needless to say, it's hilarious. So let's see here. Wow, I'm only half an hour in, and I'm halfway, and I'm going to my second page of notes. So they go to, of course they go down to engineering, guns loaded, ready to shoot anything that moves. They find Crusher and evacuate her, and mention, I lost the one I beamed up. And of course, Picard bitch slaps her for that. Okay, he doesn't actually, but I think he would. Of course, Data, is like, oh no, I'm feeling scared. This is bad. Data, turn off your ship. Okay, now I am not scared.
I am no longer scared.
So we get outside engineering, and it's pretty much been turned into a Borg collective. Joy! So they try to break into engineering, and the Borg start attacking. Worf kicks ass, of course, because it's Worf, and I think they're trying to make up for the fact that he got his ass kicked in every other episode of the show. I mean, seriously, count the number of times he gets his ass kicked by something.
Yeah.
This time, he's just beating Borg titless. Boom! Just starts smacking him. It's like, this is a phaser. Boom! Just hits him. I mean, he's kicking ass later too.
You know what came to mind during that entire scene is the what's his Champ Kind scene from Anchorman. Why me? Why me? Why me?
So of course, in the process, the Borg grab Data and yank him under a door, and he's gone. Oh no! But everybody's running and trying to escape, and people are getting assimilated, and Picard shoots somebody, and then they duck for cover, and let's see here. I can't read my own notes.
Of course you
can't. Meanwhile, on the planet, they're trying to convince Sephram Cochrane, so they get a telescope, say, hey, look at that. Oh, that's a starship. Well, shit.
I guess you're telling the truth. And then we get the line. The line. Go ahead.
You guys, yes. Go ahead, you do it, because it's your line.
So, you're all some sort of astronauts on some sort of Star Trek.
Roll credits! Damn. Okay, so naturally they, of course, info dump the entire backstory of the Federation and everything that happened from Sephram Cochrane, blah, 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 peace, and cooperation and love, and we sucked Gene Roddenberry off, and yeah. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's pretty much Gene Roddenberry. Everything he wanted. So, meanwhile, on the ship, the Borg are just still taking people down left and right. They assimilate all the way up to Deck 11, but they stop, because we don't know why yet. So, Picard, of course, is stumbling through, and hey, Lily knocks him over and gets his phaser and points it at him. He's like, oh, great. So he leads her to some room and opens up, hey, there's Earth. And she's like, holy shit, I'm not on Earth anymore? Ah!
Side note, very interesting, and this was something I noticed when I saw the movie for the first time in New Zealand, is that when you see the planet Earth turning, and you see Papua New Guinea and Australia, there's no New Zealand.
Those bastards! I was looking for New Zealand, I didn't see it.
It's because the reason why it's not on there is because they modeled that graphic off of, I think it's the globe, the Universal Studios globe, and for whatever reason, there's no New Zealand on that globe, so they've left it off on the computer render.
If I were a Kiwi, I'd be kicking somebody's ass. I'd ban that movie from my country.
You would think you would think that even though it's been brought to their attention, that maybe they'd sort of retcon it or dub it in visually so that later episodes.
Or write it in and say New Zealand was sucked into the earth by volcanoes, which is possible.
But it's not, because we both know that New Zealand actually makes an appearance in the pilot of Voyager. Tom Paris is actually in prison in New Zealand.
They couldn't put him in Australia with the real criminals?
Well, there's so few criminals in the future, they just had to move them to the smaller space.
Well, yeah, and it's New Zealand, so, nobody gives a rat's ass. Oh, wait, did I say that aloud?
Yeah, you did.
So after Picard... So, let's see here. Where are we? So, meanwhile, Data hears a disembodied voice, a very sexy voice, talking, I am the Borg, and I am going to have you assimilated. Say, that doesn't make sense. Borg aren't I. Oh, you'll see. You'll see. But this is the first audible appearance of the Borg Queen, and it's awesome because she is. Because I'm guessing backstory. The backstory in writing this is we need a bad guy. We can't just have this cerebral. This collective is doing this because this collective. They needed a bad guy to actually talk to our people.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, invent the Borg Queen. Gotta love script writing. Let's see here. So So meanwhile, Picard and Lily are wandering through the ship, and they stumble upon some Borg, and they walk through them, and she's going, ah! And Picard's like, this is nothing. They're just Borg. Blah, 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 blah. We are drones. We are drones. We are drones. Let's get to the holodeck. Here's the holodeck. Boom! Shoots a Borg. He's like, oh. Now they're going to chase us. And they go into the holodeck. At which point, Picard breaks out the Dixon Hill program.
Which is for the big goodbye.
So yeah, he goes in there and is kind of hanging out, and the Borg start coming in and throwing people around, and it's like, oh wait a minute, this is the wrong scene. See, chapter whatever, boom, and they cut to another scene where he goes and harasses a gangster talks to a woman, harasses a gangster, and pulls out a Tommy gun and machine guns the Borg down. Mm-hmm. Why the hell don't they just get machine guns and shoot them? Why are they dicking with phasers? Why don't they get machine guns to shoot down the Borg?
Can you imagine Worf walking into engineering with the minigun from Predator?
Oh, I ain't got time to plead. That would be awesome.
Yeah, basically.
But either way,
yeah, you'd stitch him from asshole to breakfast.
Yeah, basically, after Picard's about ready to just shove a Tommy gun up this Borg's ass, he then stops and pulls out a part and obviously just wants to rip Borgs apart because why not? Let's rip some parts out. This has his memory, so we'll know what they're doing. Genius. Mm-hmm. So that cuts us to. Okay, so we cut down. So Zefram Cochrane's obviously feeling the pressure because he's chugging down liquor. Because every time he talks to somebody, they start talking about how great Zefram Cochrane is. They tell him about the statue. Reg Berkeley shows up to stroke him off, and it's like, okay, I gotta go take a piss.
Yep, and he goes and runs into the hills.
That's probably not going to work out for him.
No.
So Picard gets to the bridge and says, okay, so it looks like they're setting up a transmitter on our deflector dish so they can make a link with the Borg and come and invade Earth. Okay, so that's the plan. So we got to get there. Well, we can't get there because all the paths are cut off. Well, let's go take a walk. Outside, apparently.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Riker and Geordi are chasing after Zefram Cochrane, and there he is. He's down there. Everyone, let's go get him! Go get him! Nah! Now, some Benny Hill music would have made that more fun.
That would have been fun.
Meanwhile, because we're cutting back and forth real fast here, Picard and Worf and Red Shirt number who gives a shit are suiting up, ready to go outside and take a little walk on the underside of the primary hull. So back in engineering, the Borg have strapped up a piece of skin onto Data. Data's babbling incessantly. Meanwhile, the Borg Queen shows up and they start sparring, but then she starts flirting and she starts playing with his skin and he gets all wanky and she turns on his emotions like he's got orgasm face when she's blowing on his skin. Wait till later and then of course, speaking of blowing, she asked if he's into that kind of thing, and he was fully functional, programmed in multiple techniques. Bonus.
And she asked the last time he used it, and he gave the date is when he boned Tasha Yar.
And so he starts making out with her. I'm assuming they cut the scene before she went. Okay. So the crew's caught up with Zefram Cochrane, and he's like, I'm not going back on. Screw this. Just shoots him. It's like, yeah.
Yep.
They stunned his ass. So now we get a lot of cutbacks. They're on the planet. They're starting to get ready. They're back in the ship, and they're starting to get things prepped for the flight. Meanwhile, they get to the dish, and they start. Meanwhile, Picard and Worf and Red Shirt have gotten to the dish, and they're trying to the deflector dish they're trying to do pops some manual releases. The Borg start advancing, and of course,
the red shirt bites it.
The red shirt bites it, of course. Worf blows him away after he hacks. Of course, the phaser isn't working, so he pulls the blade out and hacks the Borg to pieces. The Borg slashes, and he's losing pressure. Of course, we find out he tied off his leg with parts from the Borg and blasted that. And they blow the deflector dish knock the deflector dish free, and then blow it to pieces. Yay! So the Borg are screwed. So the Borg Queen says, "Oh, screw! We're going to take the rest of the ship now, more or less."
Pretty much.
So Picard gets back to the bridge and says, "Okay, we're going to fight them to the death, and we'll fight them to the last man, then we'll all die, because that's the only way we can. We got to kill them. That's the only thing we can do." Everybody's like, "This is bullshit. That's my orders." "Ah, screw it. It's our orders. Okay, let's all die." Lily, of course, calls this bullshit, goes in there and basically calls him on his A-habbing, because let's be honest, that's where we're going on this. Hey, there's your white whale, and we call it the Borg. Metaphor!
In this case, don't say the whales.
He smashes up the Enterprise case, and I think the 1701C and D were smashed to pieces in that.
Right.
I know I was trying to figure out which pieces were which. So after getting called on his bullshit, Picard orders the evacuation. Meanwhile, we're still on the planet. Zephyr Cochrane's prepping. Geordi and Riker are joining in there because that's historically accurate.
Of course.
Let's see here. On the Enterprise, they're firing off the destruct sequence and getting ready to blow the ship. Meanwhile, hold on, But Picard, while he's doing that, hears Data's voice in the Borg in his head stream. So meanwhile, on the planet, finally we get the countdown for the Phoenix, and we got to play Magic Carpet Ride because, of course, that's strangely, weirdly appropriate. So they go rocketing out to that. Side note, the Phoenix is made from an old missile, and this is really when you first really see it. And the cool thing is, I've seen the shell of this missile. I know they mentioned at some point they go and saw the ship at the Smithsonian in the show, but I've seen the actual shell of the missile that serves as the ship in this movie. It's actually down at the Air Force Museum down in Dayton, Ohio. So I've seen this. It's like, I know that ship. I know that missile. It was used in a Star Trek movie. Yay! Exciting, I know. So of course the ship's going up while Picard says, tells Lily, "You get on, give this to Commander Riker when you see him, and you guys all and my crew gets to go hide. I'm going to go after Data." Okay. So, of course, Picard walks in there, and the Queen's taunting him, and Data looks like he's got some face skin and some arm skin. He's getting all skinned up. Turn into some damn skin job. So, Picard, of course, bargains and offers his life for Data, and Borg Queen accepts this, but Data says, "No, I'm staying here. Can you shut off the, she says, "Can you shut off the self-destruct?" "Sure." "Beep, beep, beep. Can you unlock the computer?" "Beep, beep, beep." "Okay, so let's go and blow up the Phoenix." So we cut to the Phoenix, and the Enterprise is swinging in as the Phoenix slowly warms up its shitty-ass little warp drives. Meanwhile, Picard's there, and Data and the Queen are all chummy, and she says, "Okay, blow it up." So he goes over, fires some quantum torpedoes, then the torpedoes streak by and miss! And Data says, "Resistance is futile," and smashes the thing and releases the whatever gas it is. You'll know the answer to that.
Of course, it's the plasma.
Yeah, and basically that starts eating the flesh of all the Borg. Picard climbs up and gets out of the way, and the Borg Queen's things try to come down, but he grabs him, starts climbing up, so she climbs up after him, and Data comes out with all his skin dissolved off, and drags her down into it. She starts screaming. The Borg start blowing up, and it's awesome. Meanwhile, the Phoenix goes to warp, and Zefram Cochrane goes, ah! And it's cool because they travel for 20 seconds and turn around, and Earth is smaller. Ooh, exciting. So, let's see here. So, of course, after this, after Picard clears the gas, he goes down and finds the Borg Queen's remnants and takes her spine, her flickering spine, and snaps in two, and she dies. And Data's saying, this sucked. I should have probably joined her. I consider it for like 0.6 some seconds. That's an eternity for an android. Yeah, whatever.
0.68 seconds.
For an android, that's an eternity. See, I can get the line right if I feel like it, but I don't really. So, of course, they get everybody back, and they witness as the Vulcans arrive, and Zefram Cochrane goes out to greet them, and they do the Vulcan thing, and then they shake hands, and after the hand job, the Enterprise crew beams out, and they go traveling, and of course we end on Zefram Cochrane trying to get the Vulcans drunk because why not? Roll credits!
Yep, and the thing is, though, it was a great movie. I actually love every aspect of this movie, because even the stuff that you didn't think was going to happen, it happens in a different way. It's just really, just kind of like, oh, okay, I was expecting that, but yeah. Anyways, that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed the movie. I mean, again, it's my favorite. It's pretty close with Star Trek 6, but it'd probably eke it out right now. The way I'm feeling about the Star Trek movies.
I think I'm firmly in the I love this movie to death. This is the best of my movies. So 5.5, 5+1 out of 5. Because this is my favorite of the 3 best movies.
Fair enough.
I'd probably Star Trek 6 and then Wrath of Khan third.
Right. Well,
this is the high point of the TNG movies.
From here, it's all downhill.
And that downhill is like...
Just wait till we get to Nemesis. I watched it today. Oh my god, it's so bad.
I avoided it for years, and then I watched it. And now I want to avoid it for years. But I'm going to have to watch that piece of shit.
Yep, yes you are. You are indeed. Enjoy.
And then after... So yeah. Again, great movie, and... I could pick some nits on it, and I sure have here, but even the best movies have to be picked at and torn up.
Yeah.
But this one, I can't recommend. If you saw no other Star Trek movie, this is probably the one to see.
Yep, I would agree.
Or Star Trek Beyond, because it's probably the better movie for action, but it's not as good as this one.
Exactly.
Anyways,
with that being said, this has been the review of Star Trek First Contact. Join us again for the next episode of Treknicity, where we talk about Star Trek Insurrection, the second movie directed by Jonathan Frakes. And yeah, well, we'll get there. But anyways, not as bad as Nemesis, but not as good as First Contact. Anyways, folks, this has been Treknicity. I've been your host, Lars Di Scenza, and with me has been my fellow redshirt geek, Patrick Murray. As always on Treknicity Live, or Treknicity as we just call it now, I always encourage you to rock out with your Spock out. All right, folks, we'll see you next time.